All right, guys, welcome today to the Mavericks Lifestyles Rogue Hangout. I'm joined today with Chris Brindamore and Sheena Yapchan and Alesha Drew.
The
Yeah,
cat?
there you go. The cat is.
Oh, she's around. I'm sure she will
Yeah,
appear
she's around here somewhere.
very soon.
Yeah, Atreyu's floating around here somewhere. She probably went in the other room to sleep. The lights were probably too bright. But today we're actually going to be discussing a topic that I think is very important. It is actually going to be the difference between an entrepreneur and someone who is self-employed or self-employment. What that means, what some of the things are that we use to define that, and how it can help you pretty much where you're at, and maybe if you're having any crossroads with the distinction of the two. Now, oftentimes, you know, an easy way for me to say this is if you were to look at your Facebook page, and if you have founder or director or anything like that on your title of what you've started, or co-founder or anything of that, you would normally think that would indicate some type of like meaningful position within your company that you just started, or whatever that is. If you know, but what we often won't realize is that we are actually wearing all the hats multiple times whenever we're creating, whenever we first start our own business or startup or anything. And the main difference is that if you're self-employed, you're doing everything within your business. You basically just created yourself a job that's going to turn into a nightmare. An entrepreneur is, and I mean it, I truly mean that, but an entrepreneur is an individual or individuals that will actually create jobs for others while fulfilling their dream. And that's the easiest way I can word that. For instance, take people like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. Now, these are people that started companies originally out of a huge passion that they had, or innovation. They wanted change. They wanted something for the masses. They wanted something to bring. They wanted to bring something different to the marketplace. And yes, they ended up working in their business at first, but they always surrounded themselves with talented people and individuals to help fulfill that vision. And those are people that reported back to them. They gave them direction. They gave them insight. But yet they still had their vision of where that company was going. And the cat is here now. Now, another way I look at this as well is that we're always striving to change what type of roles we are doing within our business. The whole reason why we went onto with an online direct sales platform and business model was because we knew that it was the easiest way for us to free up our time and actually start shifting us away from having to be everything in the business. Whether it's accountants. Did I ever tell you I hate accounting?
No, you didn't.
Okay, I do. So I don't like doing that. So my first thing would be, well, I need an accountant. I need somebody else that can actually help me do those things because I'm horrible at doing them and I don't like doing them. Now, but there's other things that I might like doing. I might like creating ad copy. Alesha actually likes creating some of our capture pages and systems that we have in place now. She actually likes that. I'm very analytical. I like to analyze some of our results and see where there's numbers. I like to take the data and actually move it around in a way that I can understand, and then to make decisions based off of that. Now, but there's other things that I really don't like doing. I don't like building like blog setup and everything. It gets fun, but eventually there hits a point where I'm frustrated, and then I just go and grab a coffee, and then I start going online and just get lost in the internet. And that's normally what it happens to a lot of us. But if I knew that I had time freedom, though, to where I had people reporting back to me and I had everything set up, then that's really true freedom. And that's now a lot of people will think, well, are you saying, like, is that the 4-hour work week? Is that what you're trying to talk about? No, I'm not. That's a goal later on to maybe try to have a 4-hour work week, but will I ever get there? Maybe. I probably will never do a 4-hour work week in my life, to be honest. To me, I just feel like I have to be more involved than that. I know that a challenge or a struggle that people often make is that they'll start a business and they'll start something and they really want to have all this passion, and what it turns out doing is it just turns up into just a nightmare of sucking their life dry. And here's an easy one from a real easy way for me to show you, to explain this, because this happened to me. So back in 2011, I went to get my real estate license in Las Vegas. I went to become a realtor. So I went and I passed all my courses. I paid money. I studied my butt off. I went and test after test after test, and then bam, I have this realtor's license. Now, to have a real estate, or to be a real estate agent, you have to have your license with a broker. That broker is basically the one who's kind of skimming off of all your hard work. And what happens though is I could never go show a house to a buyer. I always had to be the one going to show the house for a buyer. I could never remove myself from that process.
And she is. We present Atreyu, everybody, for those of you that haven't met her yet.
Yeah. Now, what happened really quickly was I thought, oh, this is great. I'm going to get in here. Everything's going to be fun. It's going to be everything's going to be great. What I didn't realize was that even if I advertised everything, it was always about me. There you go.
Yes, got to take the snapshot. We got to get that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start voguing later on, like.
Yeah, I'm gonna make some poses too.
Yeah. So.
You make like cool Vogue dances.
Well, she can do it.
Yeah.
She can do it. Well, so getting back to everything was that I didn't realize that I could never send somebody else on my behalf to go show a house. I couldn't do it. If I got sick, I couldn't show the house. I'm not making money. If I'm not driving people around in my car, showing them everything. Oh, okay. Oh, we could mess with them. We could just turn the whole camera off. No.
No, we wouldn't.
No. But what would happen, though, is I would lose money. If I got sick or I got hurt or anything, I couldn't go on vacation and be making money. It just was, there was just a huge disconnect. And that's what happened with a lot of people. So no matter how hard my advertising work was or how many efforts I put in, I could never remove myself from that. Now, originally, you would think that, a real estate agent who's really good, they're like really good entrepreneurs. They're not. They're actually just stuck in one position. And that's it. They're just stuck in one position. And because what they're doing is they're mentally dangling a carrot in front of their own self about something they want, but they don't know what they want. They want out of it all, but they like the money's good whenever you're getting those big commission checks from selling houses or listing houses when they sell too. But you're still always in the grind. You're always in it. You can't get yourself out of it. So I quickly realized this, and that's why I was like, wait a minute. I basically just bought myself a career. I bought myself a job that I can't get out of. It's not really like I'm owning my own business. And it's what's funny though too is in some states you have to have like an LLC set up in order to do business in that entity to get your commission checks. It gets all stupid, but it's like really it's ordinary income. That's getting on a different path, so it gets all weird. That's for like some tax attorneys to fight over, but I didn't get it. But either way, there's a huge disconnect between that. Like saying, okay, well, how do I get my time back? Like, how do I actually get what I want? I want to be in Spain, traveling around the world, while the systems I put in place are actually making me money. How do I do that? And that's where entrepreneurs come in. And a really, oh, there we go. All of my devices just lit up like a Christmas tree. The iPad, the cell phone, the computer, everything just went off. That's the world we live in. So I really wanted to have a system put in place for everything so that I could be making money anywhere. And when I think about entrepreneurship, I always think of Richard Branson, Sir Richard Branson. The reason why is because, we all know, Virgin Galactic, we know Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Records, Virgin Mobile. Now he's got Virgin Hotels that are stupidly expensive. But it's what it does. So he's got all these different companies that report back to him based on a vision that he has. He's not actually sitting there working in these businesses every day doing everything. He's surrounded himself with people around it. Now you might say, oh, well, he's just an owner. Well, he's a shareholder in these companies. He's the majority shareholder. And he put up the capital to start most of these companies because he's always had a vision behind everything, and he's basically he's created jobs to help him live a lifestyle that he wanted. And that's all it really is, was slowly removing himself from the process. Now, yeah, many years ago when he was running Virgin Records, it was totally different. He was probably in it then, but yet he was still expanding his business model to where there was record stores all over the place. But yet he wasn't running every single one of them. He surrounded himself with talented people to get the job done, to fulfill his vision. Mm-hmm. And that's what entrepreneurship is about. So even within our company, what was one of the biggest things that happened with us at the beginning? We did everything. Mm-hmm. And there's still parts of it today to where we're challenged with taking ourselves out of it in certain aspects. It's hard to let some of that creative control go. And what we quickly realized that our sanity and our peace of mind, it was worth the money to go ahead and say, all right, we have a graphic designer that now works with us. We have, well, Alesha, you really like doing the blog syndication stuff, so you take care of most of that. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you like doing it, but you just do. So, but that's a part of something that she likes to do. So as we go along, we're slowly moving ourselves away from all those things that we don't like doing, so that we can actually have the vision continue to grow in our minds and we don't get burnt out. And to me, that's the biggest difference. And I don't know, what your definition is of how you define it.
Yeah. I think what we're talking about today is possibly one of the number one biggest pieces of advice that you could give to anybody who's out there watching this and anybody who's even thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. So you've got everybody knows the difference between being employed or unemployed. It's a very distinct difference, but when it comes to entrepreneur and being self-employed, like what you just mentioned, there is a huge distinction, but a lot of people don't understand that there is. And there's a lot of confusion about the two. A lot of people think if they're self-employed, that means they're an entrepreneur, which is not the case, as we've just been discussing. And your ultimate goal is to actually work on your business, not in your business, which is what we've just been sharing. And there's multiple places where you can actually hire other people to do those things in your business that you don't need to do. Typically there's Fiverr, which is one of my favorite places to go. Odesk, Elance. There's so many places that you can go and get things done very cheaply. I mean, Fiverr, of course, is $5. And you can get things done that you don't have to do everything. And in the beginning, yes, it is a grind. And a lot of people, when they become entrepreneurs, they want to skip that grind phase, and they want to do what their mentor is doing at that moment. They want to model their mentor, that they try and skip that grind phase in the business, and it's not possible. You can't set up systems and set up membership sites and build products if you haven't been through the grind phase. And that's what you need to do as an entrepreneur, like what you were saying about Richard Branson in the beginning. He was grinding. Steve Jobs, grinding. Everybody was grinding at the beginning because they had a vision of where they were going, and they knew that they were going to have their money work for them instead of them work for their money. So your goal is to actually work on your business instead of in your business. And I think that's a huge point. You want to work on your business instead of in your business. And self-employed people, they make jobs for themselves, which is fine if that's your preference. Entrepreneurs, we make jobs for other people.
Yeah.
And I think that is the critical point there for anybody out there that's still stuck on the confusion between the two. That is the big distinction. I mean, Richard Branson has made jobs for hundreds and thousands of people. Think about what Steve Jobs has done. these visionary people have created jobs for thousands of other people, and that's the big distinction there.
Yeah.
I think.
I know that I don't know. I like to go outside sometimes and just outside of my own thoughts just to get some insight on this. And I found this Australian person named Amanda Jesnowski. Is that an Australian name?
Definitely not.
Okay. It says it's okay. It's from Startup Smart. Okay, so it's from startupsmart.com.au, and I'm reading this off my iPad here, so bear with me. But this was back from May of 2013, and this Australian Amanda Jesnowski, Jezza.
Yeah, that's probably what she'd get called.
All right. Well, she had a really good way of actually wording this, and she said that, where did it go? A self-employed person, for example, tries to do everything themselves, as no one will do a better job than them. An entrepreneur, on the other hand, knows that they can't do everything, so they delegate responsibilities to people they trust who are smarter and more experienced than them in those areas, but still keep people accountable for their actions. A self-employed person wants to own everything for security. An entrepreneur wants to own as little as possible, but control everything. And you'll hear Donald Trump say that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Own as little, but control everything. And that's just the beginning. So she goes in to actually talk about a bunch of different characteristics, and she's pretty much spot on with some of these. And I look at this too as like, let's say I wanted to start a pizza parlor. I wanted to start up a, Mini John's Pizza, because I can't be Papa John, so I'll be Mini John. So Little John's Pizza, I want to start a pizza joint. So I'm like, okay, what I would do is I would go in there and I'd learn how to make the dough by hand, and I'd learn all these different things, because I want it to be the best damn pizza that the world's ever seen, because I'm ego-driven like that. So that's what I would do. I'd go in there and I'd just bust my butt and think that I'm giving the world the best pizza with Italian flair that's not from Italy. And I would just put whatever. I would come up with my own little thing on it. I'd spend a lot of money. I'd go to the bank. I'd get all these loans to get my pizza ovens. And knowing me, I'd probably be the one that would make the pizzas, and then I'd probably try to deliver them myself. That's kind of almost what we would do as self-employed. You would think that. But an entrepreneur will just hire everybody, let those systems they put in place take over it, then they'd remove themselves from it, and then just hold the people accountable for it. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Then they would collect the check, and they would just, enjoy their life from it. They would just make small monitoring on it. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go in there every day and say, why does this dough taste like this? This is off, you're not doing it right. Let me get in here and do it this way and start throwing the dough around. No, I would have those people accountable for those things. So she goes on. So getting out to this, I'm not even going to say her last name again. Jezza. No, Amanda. Amanda's from Australia. But she said she had these different characteristics, and she goes on to say that entrepreneurs aren't afraid to take risks to achieve their dreams. Now, what she means by that, too, is not about careless risks. She means about calculated risks, things that actually have some substance behind it. An entrepreneur will capitalize on timing and opportunity. When those two are there together, and along with either a great product or a service or something backing it up, that's when they'll take those risks on them. And they know that if they're going to, she put it right in here. They understand that if they're going to achieve greatness, they need to take risks, very big risks at times, which may come at great personal sacrifice to achieve their goals. Mm-hmm. Entrepreneurs are not afraid of failure or adversity. Where most people are afraid to try because they might fail, an entrepreneur knows that the greatest failure is not to try in the first place. This harkens back to everything works, nothing doesn't. You're gonna if you do nothing, you're gonna get nothing. If you keep trying different things, if you keep doing different things will yield different outcomes. And this is great too. A lot of people don't realize that. How we were talking about Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, even Oprah Winfrey and Albert Einstein, all those people were told that they weren't good enough to do things. And that's what fueled them later on to go and actually do better, because they were told that they weren't good enough to do certain things. And a lot of these people actually failed. the first couple attempts that they had. But they all learned from all their mistakes. They grew stronger, and an entrepreneur doesn't take failure or any type of adversity as something that's going to let them like stay stuck down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very easy to say, "Oh, well, I got fired from that job. I'm just going to go get another one." You know, I was looking for this job when I found it. I'll be looking for a new job when I find another one. You know, that's the kind of mentality that can be there. So you know, an entrepreneur will not be there. It doesn't matter if it's 100 times later. If the true entrepreneur spirit, they're going to keep going. And I love this one here. Entrepreneurs are doers, not just dreamers. You know, this is great because you can go. There's a saying: you can wish in one hand and blank in the other, and that's true. You can wish in one hand and blank in the other, and which one's going to get filled up faster? You know, well, it's going to be the one that you crapped in because at least you did something in that hand. You know, at least you put something in it to tip the scales in the favor, even if it was crap. Now, it's kind of a bad analogy to say it that way, but you know, they know that they're not just writing down goals and pinning them to a board. They're writing down their goals, pinning them to a board, and they're looking at them every single day, and they're taking action against those goals every single day, and they're measuring where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big difference. Now, this might sound dumb to say, oh, the vision board and those types of things, but that's what got us kind of where we would like to start our big changes. Was we had the vision board and the goal setting board and everything, but we walked by it every day, and we made a conscious effort to just stop and actually look at it and actually reflect back upon it. And I think we talked to a couple weeks ago about how we had accomplished everything on there except for like 2 items, which was very. It was very eye-opening to say, you know, we did that, you know. Mm-hmm. If I were to show you our vision board, it's kind of neat because we have this little stair step thing on there, like that one picture that we have, and it mm-hmm. says like, you know, the different steps of it were like, I'll think about doing it, I'll try to do it, I am doing it, I did it, and I did that. What's next? It's like this whole big different thing about how the progress of this little stick man guy that we have in the picture. But it was pretty neat. This is another one here too. It says entrepreneurs get right outside of their comfort zone. Now, being comfortable is almost suicidal for me. Like if I get comfortable somewhere, like if I know that I'm comfortable, in a certain situation or a certain scenario, thinking that I already know, oh, I got that, you know, once I realize that I even had that thought, I check myself and I'm like, wait, that's just, no, I don't. Like, what's wrong here? Like, something's not right. If I'm not outside of a comfort zone, it means that I'm not growing. And if I'm not growing, I'm really moving in the opposite direction. So I know that I seek out those uncomfortable challenges, and to know that it's going to be uncomfortable, that means that I'm growing, and that means that I'm going to be better whenever I come out of the other end of it. It's kind of like a really tough workout. You know that it's going to be kind of uncomfortable going into it, but you know the feeling when you come out the other side of how good you're going to feel. That's kind of what an entrepreneur gets hooked to, in a way, that mm-hmm. of knowing that. And once I start, like, this is just me saying this too, once I get comfortable in a certain situation, whether it's in a relationship or anything else, I start getting kind of freaked out going, wait a minute, what's wrong here? Mm-hmm. You know? So getting right outside of your comfort zone is a big factor in it. And you might like this one. I don't know, the global thinking one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can touch base on that one there.
Okay. It says an entrepreneur understands that there is more money to be made and more benefit to be had when you serve others on a larger scale. They think globally, identifying needs and frustrations to serve the masses and continually further their market reach. And that's so true, and that's exactly what we do here within our community. We're on a global scale, and we have visions of creating freedom in hundreds and thousands of people's lives. I mean, our creator, our founder, David Wood has a vision of creating 100 new $1 million earners each year. And I think that's a critical part of being an entrepreneur, is to have an actual vision where it's so big that all of our dreams can fit inside of it. And people follow people that have a vision. So I think that's a really important point. I mean, this is a great blog post by this Aussie girl. I'm impressed. I like that. So I actually have a quote here that I want to share before we pass it on. I actually heard this from a video from one of our community members, Nicole Cooper, one of the leaders within our community. And she said, your success comes in what you do in private. And what you do in private will reveal who you become in public. Therefore, you cannot cheat yourself when no one is watching, because it is when you're in the presence of no one that will dictate whether you'll be in the presence of many. And I just think that's so powerful. I heard that and I was like, wow. You know, it's so powerful, I think I'm going to read it again so that people out there really get what this actually means. Your success comes in what you do in private, and what you do in private will reveal who you become in public. Therefore, you cannot cheat yourself when no one is watching, because it is when you're in the presence of no one that will dictate whether you'll be in the presence of many. Now, I interpret that as in taking action. And as entrepreneurs, there's nobody that's going to tell you to get up and get to work. There's nobody that's going to tell you to get up and do your blog. There's no one that's going to tell you to create that capture page. There's nobody that's going to tell you to syndicate. And as an entrepreneur, we have to have the motivation. We have to have the core desire. We have to have a firing passion burning deep inside our hearts to actually achieve our results. And that's why I often say this entrepreneurial journey is not for everybody. It's only for the people who are daring enough and willing to take calculated risks and work towards what they want over time. And it's what we do in the dark when nobody's watching that is going to dictate our results when everybody is watching in the light. So I really thought that was something really powerful that I hadn't heard put that way. So I did want to share that with you guys today. So in saying that, Chris, would you like to come out and share your thoughts on this topic today? How do you feel about the difference between being self-employed and being an entrepreneur?
Who'd you ask, Alesha?
You.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it.
You're good.
The way I see it, and we're probably, most people are brought up to think more in terms of trading hours for dollars, and that's kind of how I see somebody who's self-employed. Maybe you move away from working for somebody else, but maybe you're doing the same trade that you learned. Let's say, for example, you're a plumber. You're working for someone. You go off on your own as a plumber. Maybe you're making more money, but you're still basically trading hours for dollars, and you're limited to how much money you can make by how many hours you can work. And if you don't work, you don't make any money. And the way I see an entrepreneur is you're not necessarily tied to the number of hours that you work. And I think we all, I mean, ultimately, I think we'd like to get to a point where, you know, we're working 2 hours a day and still making a lot of money without necessarily the amount of time that we put in it doesn't necessarily correlate to how much money we make. So the two aren't necessarily related. Am I getting some feedback? Or is that?
A little bit of it.
Yeah, I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, there's a bit of an echo.
So an entrepreneur is more somebody who is more creative, I think. We're looking at different opportunities.
The echo for some reason.
Let's see. I don't have anything going in the background. Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might have had it going in the background, it looks like.
Yeah.
All right. We're good?
Yeah.
Awesome. So entrepreneur is more somebody who I think is more creative and looks at different ways to generate money other than their own efforts. So whether you're outsourcing stuff or you're using the power of the internet like we are to leverage yourself, and you're not necessarily tying yourself down to how much time you can put into something. So I heard a good Inner Circle audio recently, a friend of ours, Dr. Steve, who talked about, even a professional, and
Oh, there
he's
you
a
are.
doctor, so somebody else, I'm getting some echo from somebody else, I think.
That's
Dr. Steve talked about, even though he's a doctor and he makes a good income, and he is, in a sense, an entrepreneur, his income is still tied to the time that he puts into his business. If he takes time off to go on vacation, for example, with his family, he doesn't make any money. Or if they change the regulations in the healthcare industry, which happens all the time, his income can drop even though he's doing the same amount of work. So still kind of his income, even as a doctor, is tied to how much time he can put into his business. And if he stops working, he stops making money. So that's kind of what I would consider self-employed, even though he's at a high level, an income for somebody who's trading dollars for hours. His income's tied to how much time he can put into his business. So he's limited. So that's why he's kind of moved, he's directing more of his efforts towards what we're doing, internet marketing, where his income is not necessarily tied to how much time he can put into it. And if he takes a week off, like Sheena, I think you made money overnight while you were taking a nap or something, right? You're napping while you made your nap?
That was today, actually. I took a
Yeah.
afternoon nap and woke up to it.
Make
The commission.
money while you're napping.
But results are never typical, so there's an income disclaimer below here that you can check.
Oh, we forgot that.
Yeah.
it up. So thanks.
Thanks, Sheena.
No problem.
So, you can, in this business, that's the beauty of it. We, especially what we're doing with blog, it's like putting posters all over the internet that we're advertising our business. And even though we may not be there, that information's still out there working for us, even though we may not be working. So that's how I view an entrepreneur versus somebody who's self-employed. A self-employed person, I still see as somebody who's trading dollars for hours. Whereas an entrepreneur, those two aren't necessarily correlated. Your income is not dependent on how much time you can put into your business.
Very true. And have you ever been self-employed, Chris, or did you always have a regular job before you started working online? Like, what's your background there?
Yeah, I am still working full time. And again, I'm not quite at Dr. Steve's level, but I work at construction. I make a pretty good income at it, but I kicked around starting my own business, but I didn't want to do construction because it's very it follows the cycles of the economy. It's up and down. So I'm like, I don't want to be, especially the state I'm in. We seem to be the first state in the recession and the last one out. So I didn't want my income or any money that I'm making tied necessarily to where I'm living, which is another great thing about what we do, is it doesn't matter where you live. You can move. You can live anywhere in the world. You can be in Hawaii like Sheena, or on the West Coast like you guys are in the warmer weather, or if you want to be in the cold weather, or any place you got internet access, really, you could do this business, which is a great thing. And you're not tied to the economy. You're not tied to one particular location. Matter of fact, we're pretty much worldwide. Just about every country in the world we have access to if we want to. If we want to build a business in Europe or Australia or Africa or the Orient, China, Japan, you can do it there, and you don't necessarily need to be in those areas. So that's the other beauty.
Yeah, definitely. It actually reminds me as well of part of my story there with what you just shared, Chris. You know, trading time for money. I'm actually a professional dancer as well, and the reason why I decided to check out a business online, because John Paul had actually started the business first, and I had no idea what it was. And, you know, I always believed in the decisions that he made, so I was quite happy to go along with it. And I got to a point in my career where I got injured, and luckily my entire life I've done really well with injuries. Being a dancer, a lot of the times, you know, there are a lot of people that get injured and they just continue to get injured, but I was pretty, I shouldn't say lucky, I guess I'm just, I don't know, strong-boned or strong-muscled or something, but...
Just work hard.
Yeah, just worked hard, and I didn't really have many injuries, and then one time we were out for a run, long story cut short, and I hurt my ankle, and we were getting ready to go into rehearsals for a new show. The timing was terrible, of course, and at that time, I had to make a decision to get on stage and do it anyway. I was working with a great group of people, and there was a few numbers that I'd pulled myself out of, and we kind of had to alter a few things. I was very fortunate to be able to have that and kind of limped my way through rehearsal. And I stopped for a second and I thought to myself, what am I doing? And I had more mental pain from that decision than I did physical pain. Yeah, it was physically painful. I was putting my foot in an ice bath after every show and strapping it up and all sorts of exercises and all these things. It was a really bad sprain. And I shouldn't have been doing the show at the time. But I had no choice at that time, because if I didn't get on that stage, I didn't make any money. So yes, I was living my dream and still am. It's something that I've always done, but as a performer, if you get injured, you don't make any money. A majority of shows won't actually pay you any type of compensation if you injure yourself. Not all, but most in my experience. And it ultimately made me realize, what am I doing? Why is it that I have to put myself through, you know, this show and potentially injure myself even more, being in high heels and stepping around on sets in the darkness and being terrified that I'm going to hurt my ankle even more when,
and
you know...
crap pay as well. I mean, really, because, I mean, let's be honest. I'll say it like this. I think that dancers, like the choreographers and the people that are performing for entertainment, I think that they really get crapped on as far as their level of compensation. I would always say that, you know, that I think that it tends to be really, just the scale is really flawed in that.
Yeah, dancers kind of get the rough end of the stick in shows, especially when they're not the actual lead performers. We bust our butts. We're one of the most hard-working entertainers that you'll ever know, and, you know, we personally don't believe that we get paid enough. I'm sure there's many professions where people feel the same way. And because of that, there was a few scenarios of that type of thing going on as well around that time, where I wasn't being offered the pay that I deserved. And it got to a point where I was like, look, there's got to be something else. And I mean, I can't be a professional dancer for my entire life. I've taught dance for many years as well, and that's often what happens when dancers finish their careers. They'll go on to teach and choreograph, which is great. I've been doing that since I was 16 years old. But if they don't want to do that, what's next? And, you know, people need to think about that, and it suddenly made me realize, what is it that I really want to do? So I took a look at what you were doing, and I started diving into the information. I think the Costa Rica intensive was the first thing within Empower Network that I took a look at. You know, I popped the video on and I saw Dave out in Costa Rica, you know, talking about all this stuff, and I had no idea about sales, internet marketing. I didn't know any of the terms. I knew pretty much nothing. I mean, I'm great on a computer, but I didn't know anything about this stuff, and I was just fascinated. I was like, this is so cool. You know, I want to, you know, this is what you've been doing, like, this is awesome. So, and I realized what was possible. and that, income disclosure below, as you know, results are not typical, but, like Sheena, you can make money while you're having a nap. You can make money while you're sleeping.
I want to touch on that just real fast because, we've said there's an income disclosure and stuff down below here, but really, there is no easy button in this. Like, this is actually putting the time in, and I want to make that really clear. I mean, anything will work when you stick with it, and you stick with it until you hit that milestone, and then you set a new milestone, and you stick with it until you hit that one. And now, my rate of success, or whatever we determine to measure it from, a lot of people think it's money, but really, someone could be successful for making $5,000 a month, and to them, they could be successful because they could be making that money living in Thailand, where cost of living is extremely cheap, and they're living like kings and queens, and they have a very, very comfortable life. To them, they're successful. They're out of, quote, system. They're out of the rat race, and they're that's success on some people's levels. Now, other people have a different idea of it. I know that myself, I was the guy that was always chasing money in the career. I had the career path going for me, and I really wanted to I want to get to this level because there's more money, and then I want to get to this level because there's more money. I want nicer things here. I want more of this. And what I realized was that once I looked back and reflected on it, I was like, well, I have everything that I want. I've burnt myself out. I'm a mental case some days because I'm, lack of sleep, and, I haven't exercised, and I'm eating like crap now. Now I'm at a different level. I'm putting all my time into building something for somebody else now, and then I'm going to get to that level. And then when I get to that level, I won't be happy enough because there's another level. And really, what was I chasing? Was I chasing a broken relationship? Was I chasing, just mental anguish, exhaustion? What was I really chasing after? What was it that? Because you hit a level where you're really going, wait a minute, I thought success was supposed to really feel good, and I feel like crap. So it happens. I mean, let's say that you're okay, here's an example. Let's just say that you're a person doing excavation work, and I think we've probably all been driving past like a construction site, and you've seen the guy that's doing the survey work, where he's doing he's sighting all the lines up for everybody and taking all the measurements, and then he's also the guy that's got to go out there with the shovel, and then jump down in the trenches and dig the ditch a little bit deeper in certain spots and stuff like that. But his goal is to get to where he can be a heavy equipment operator so that he doesn't have to be there. He can make a little bit more money doing that. And then once he's there, he wants to be the guy that's doing the crew op, where he's running the crew chief, like for the whole crew, to make a little bit more money. But when he gets there, then he wants to be the general contractor overseeing everything. And it's just this nonstop tiered system that really, every time you hit it, you're going to go, I was just happy doing my thing, just being healthy, not really having a care in the world. And now I've got all this stuff that I have to keep up with the Joneses, and I have to keep up an image, and really that's not what people really want. It truly isn't.
That's what we call the pyramid scam.
Yeah.
That is the true pyramid scam right there, that people don't even realize is what's going on.
But it was never easy, though. All the work that we put in that aspect of a traditional job, that's not easy. That's not. The only thing that's guaranteed there is just that if you show up, you get a paycheck if you behave in a certain way. Mm-hmm. That's what is guaranteed.
Yeah, and there's always somebody right at the very top who's making the most amount of money, who's building their dream.
Yeah, and even then, too, I see people at the top, like CEOs and, stuff like that, too, and COOs. I look at those people and I actually applaud them. Other people would be like, there's a lot of, like, spite and just snide stuff going on where it's just like, oh, well, everybody thinks that that's funneling all the money up to the top. Well, yeah, it might be because they're supposed to bring more value and experience to the company to yield certain results, and that's their measure is the company as a whole. So I see people that are in those positions, and I actually applaud people like that. Mm-hmm. I think that what I've learned, at least through coming into this realm with our community as well, was that I need to applaud successful people, and I want to surround myself with those individuals because whatever it is that they know, I want to know part of what they know. The only thing that separates us from certain people, I mean, the only thing that really separates, the haves in the world and the have-nots is application of knowledge. It's applied knowledge. It's actually them. They put the time in. It wasn't easy. They put all that time in, and they learned different things that I didn't have the skill set to learn, and I didn't put the time in. They were doing the things in the dark when no one was looking, so that when everybody was looking, they were doing the same darn thing, harking back to what Nicole Cooper was talking about in that quote.
Mm-hmm.
Do the same thing in the dark as you would do in the light when everybody's looking.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the people that's what people don't realize. That's what CEOs are doing. They're reading constantly. They're evolving.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really shifted my perspective on a lot of stuff too. Just saying, okay, well, how do I just shift my perspective a little bit to just look at things differently and realize that it's not easy at all. But there's easier methods I could use to get that information digested quicker for me, so that I don't have to look around everywhere trying to struggle the whole way through.
Yeah.
I do believe that there's shortcuts in life. I believe that there's shortcuts that help you with your time. Maximize your time. If you're going to put time into something, how can you get the best rate of return on it? Because let's be honest, no one's going to set up no one's going to set everything up for you. Well, I take it back. People can set everything up for you, but you're going to spend a pretty penny. And then if you're not getting results from everything that you had set up, then you're going to be clueless. So that's why it's worth going through what we call the grind phase. It's worth going through it because the prize at the end is worth so much more.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll know all the parts of the process that you like, or you'll know if you're getting ripped off on some type of traffic, or you'll know what your conversion rates are, if they're good or not. You'll know all your follow-up and everything as well. There's certain different things and aspects of every business that's insider knowledge, and to get that insider knowledge, you have to believe in yourself, really, because I can tell you right now that I believe that anybody can do this if they stick with it because I don't know what everybody's rate of learning is, but more importantly, I don't know what people's work ethic is. What separates the 16-year-old kid who goes to McDonald's to be the fry cook who turns out to run in the joint within a year, versus his buddy who came in right next to him the same day. What separates those two people? It's work ethic, and it's how fast they can apply what they learn. That's really the only difference. And that's the same thing. That's really this is the one part of social conditioning that's actually true. Even in school and everything, the only difference that separated anybody was how fast they could apply what they learned. That's the only difference. Take it out and go and apply that knowledge into a certain field.
Yeah.
And that was really the only difference. But there is no easy button. This is not a hey, you're going to join us and tomorrow you're going to be the next millionaire. No. That's not what it means. What it means is that we have the knowledge behind, or we have the knowledge and we have everything that you need to put it together and to get you on that right path.
Yeah.
But no easy button.
That's right. All right, Sheena, do you want to come out and share your thoughts on this interesting topic today?
Thanks for having me, guys. And I think we've all fallen into this trap of self-employment versus entrepreneurship. I know I have, especially when I used to have a job. I used to do everything myself because I had this scarcity mindset that someone would take my job over, right? Until I decided to do just to be working on my own and finding things. I still had the same mindset, right? I mean, I joined a traditional MLM company, and it's still the same thing. You're still doing all the work. You're calling people, you're at the mall prospecting, you're doing all these home parties. I mean, it still takes a lot of time. It's like having a second job, in my opinion. I mean, of course they work, but is it something that somebody else would do when they join your business? I mean, for me, for me, like, if I was a person looking into that, thinking how many people I'd have to call every day, how many people I'd have to follow up, pounding the phones like 10 hours a day just to get one person interested, it's crazy, right? And here, now we do things, in a smart way. We work smart. I mean, there's still work involved. I mean, I still work. I mean, I don't sleep all day and wake up to commissions all day. I mean, I still put in the work, right? I mean, I blog every single day, but it's because I blog every single day. Google likes that because they see I'm putting content every day, right? It's kind of like Monopoly. You're putting your hotels on the board. Blogging is just putting your content on the internet, right? You wanna monopolize the internet as much as you can, and if you can blog every single day, when Google sees you have fresh new content that came from you, they're gonna like that. They're gonna say, oh, this person is, doing something. He or she is bringing good content, and it will work. I don't know how long it'll take. I mean, when they mentioned I woke up to a sale, I wrote that blog 3 days ago, right? And boom, sale came up, right? And like we said, there's no, results aren't typical, and we do have income disclaimers. But I always tell people I can guarantee one thing: if you do nothing, guess what your results are? Nothing, right? So, it's all about working smart versus working hard. I'd rather blog and do a little syndication for about an hour or two, have the rest of the day to myself, or use my time for something else, maybe listen to another training or read a book or go to the beach, have a run, than to be pounding the phones for 10 hours a day, right? Or to be driving from one home party to another home party to another home party where nobody shows up. It sucks. And I think John's falling asleep.
My eyes, I've been traveling, so everything's adjusting.
But
sleep.
Everything's.
I think he's trying to. I think he's trying to do the same thing when he wakes up. Commissions will come to his inbox. If you're falling asleep, it means that your commissions will be rolling in the inbox accounts.
I've been in Texas. And
the one thing about like doing all this stuff is, you focus on what you're good at, right? Whatever you're weak at, try and find ways to either outsource it, or link with someone who knows what they're doing, right? Maybe you could trade off some jobs. It's like, oh, if you do this, I'll do that for you, right? Because, a lot of people focus on what they're weak at, right? And I used to be the same way. I'd be like, oh, I can't blog, or oh, I don't know how to do Facebook ads, or I don't know how to do that. Well, you know what? Instead, I'll focus on something that's good, and if I'm really good at it and I'm to a point where I can do it with my eyes closed, then I'll learn something new. Or if I think it's going to take way too much time and it's not going to produce the income that I want, I'll do what Alesha does. I'll go to Fiverr. Because you know what happens when you get confused and you don't know what you're doing? It leads to inaction. And I want to be able to tell you, it's all about taking action, right? Taking these simple daily actions that will yield the results that you want. I mean, I've been blogging every single day, right? I've been blogging every single day, sharing it out, on social media sites. And I'm not there 10 hours a day doing it. It takes me about an hour or two, right? And, sometimes I'll pick a day and write content for the whole week, right? Maybe a Sunday or a Saturday, I'll write content for a whole week so that during the week I don't have to worry about what do I write about, what am I going to blog about. I focus on other things. Maybe I want to, tweak a marketing funnel, or I study other people's copy and see, what are they doing that's working, right? I mean, there's always ways to do these things, and I've seen people who can't even get out of bed and can do this stuff, right? And this is why we have a system, because when there's people who can't get out of their beds, from Australia and be able to still blog and create an income, then anything's possible, right? If it's possible for her, it's possible for you, right? When I see moms with 6 kids, moms with 8 kids, moms with 11 kids, I don't know where they're popping it at, but when I hear stuff like that, it's like there's no excuse. If a mom of 11 kids can do it, if a mom of 8 kids can do it, if a mom who's working a full-time job, still taking care of 2 kids, a husband, a dog, and a cat, and still doing this on her spare time, anything's possible, right? I hate when people's like, I have no time. It's like, you have no time or you don't want to make the time, right? I mean, the average person watches 20 hours of TV a day? Probably more. Not a day, a week, or more. No, 40 hours, I think, of TV a week. right? And they say they have no time. So if they replace that TV time with working on their business, think how much money they could make, right? But a lot of people just see the immediate results. They don't see the long-term results. This is why we're so big on talking about our visions, right? Because we know where we're going. Like for me, I want to use this platform to help women out there break out of their shell, because it's hard still for women. You know, they still feel like they have no voice in this world. And if we can use something as a blogging platform that can help them bring their voice out, be able to help them become who they want to be, and not be so shy about their sharing their ideas. Think how much that can change their lives, right? I mean, I'm sure you're watching this thinking you have so much talent and so much ideas that you can share to the world, but you're too scared because you're afraid of what people might think of you. You're afraid if your parents are gonna like shun you. I get it. I'm an Asian woman. I'm supposed to be married by now. My grandma thinks I'm an old maid. I'm told to just go to school, get a job, work 40 years for the rest of my life, and don't make any noise. And that's not how I want to live. We only live once. And if you do it right, once is enough. So, you're watching this thinking, what's it going to be? Are you going to still sit here, staring at us thinking, oh, these people are so cool? Or are you going to sit there and say, how can I get in, right? What am I going to do after I click this button? Am I going to fill out the form and take out my credit card and start blogging, right? Think. All it takes is one decision. You make that decision once, and once is enough, and then you just keep going until you get there, right? The only failure in this is if you quit. That's it, right? Because really, there's no such thing as failure. There's feedback. There's things that don't work, like Thomas Edison. He found 10,000 ways for a light bulb not to work, right? They say 9 out of 10 times things aren't going to work. 9 out of 10 times things aren't going to work. But that one time that does work can impact 80-90% of the world. So, look what happened with Thomas Edison. Once he found, how a light bulb was supposed to work. Look at the impact that we have now. Electricity is everywhere, right? So don't be afraid if you fail, right? Think of it as feedback. Think of it as, okay, this didn't work. I'm going to try something else. And if that didn't work, you try something else. Remember, if he can find 10,000 ways 10,000 ways for a light bulb not to work, you can find, it just means that you just don't give up. You just persist and consist until it is done, right? Until you get to that end goal. And for me, I don't think there's no real end goal. Maybe there's a short-term end goal, but you keep on progressing to become better and better and better. That's why, Donald Trump and all those guys, they're still working because they have a big vision. They still feel like, they still need to contribute to the world more. They still need to do stuff to inspire and empower and change people's lives. So I kind of went a little off there. But, as an entrepreneur, you got to think like that, right? You got to have a big vision, right? And self-employment is just how much money am I making? How much money am I making? Entrepreneurs is like, how can I serve the people? And when you start thinking of being a go-giver, that's when the money comes to you, because all you're thinking about is how can I help the other person win? And it's like a cycle, right? When you give to others, you get it back in return. So, yeah.
No, I think you brought up a good point. Being a go-giver. Well, just because whoever, like you said, some people are kind of mostly thinking about how much am I getting? How much am I getting in return for this? I put X amount of time in and X amount of hours, and how much am I getting in return? Basically, an employee mindset. And by, how you said, an entrepreneur is basically going to find as many ways as they can to give back to the community and give back to the world and to the people that are around them. And not just give all their money, but what can we give back in a way to either help educate or lift up or empower people? I know that there's many places in the world where people don't even know how to read. How can we go and just give resources to places to teach people how to read? That's one of the biggest gifts that we can give anybody is the freedom to actually let their mind just go wild with knowledge that's out there. Because you teach someone how to read, anything is at their fingertips. Because now they're working off the success of billions of people that came before them. It only takes one person that's, how do I know that one kid that we teach how to read in some third world country somewhere that's developing, how do I know that the kid's not just a mathematical genius that's going to, come up with how to teleport through space? You don't know. I mean, this stuff's like, stuff is coming in a rapid way with technology. So, and it comes from the most obscure places, and it comes when you're least expecting it. You don't know when genius is going to strike. Like, hey, let me put my genius on hold today. You don't know. Like, like just stuff happens, and how, like Sheena said, how we can be a go-giver and how we can give back to our world and people that are around us. That's what this is actually about. And I think you hit it spot on the head. Good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about giving people an opportunity to change their lives. Within our industry, there's always a lot of talk of recruiting and signing people up, and I don't really like those terms because I'm not signing somebody up. I'm not recruiting somebody. To me, when a sale comes in, I don't see that as a sale. I see that as another person who just decided to make a decision. That's another person who just decided to make a decision to transform their life. They want to change their current situation. And that's how we see it. We're giving people opportunities to change their lives, and you really can't do that when you're self-employed, doing everything inside your business. So I was going to hand it over to Stephanie, who just jumped on the line, but she seems to have just disappeared. Oh, there she is. Nice to see you jump on, Stephanie.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see you guys again. I'm sorry I'm late. I had some things to do, take care with my kids. It looks as though that you guys are on great topic today about entrepreneurship instead of being self-employed. Mm-hmm. Well, I just now that I've joined you guys, like almost toward the end, I wanted to share this one analogy or one story about hermit crab. You guys know what a hermit crab is, right? Mm-hmm. And when you look at the actual hermit crab's body, it's soft, it's bendable, it's movable. But when that inner body expands or it grows up, there comes a time when that hermit crab has to change its shell, change its new home, right? And the way that hermit crabs change their new home is they first have to get out of their old home. It is a painful experience or painful decision on their part, but they have to think about what's ahead, better things ahead. And sometimes they may need a network of different hermit crabs to remind them, hey, it looks like your shell is getting a little tight over there. Maybe you might want to go take a look at the other shell, right? And another thing we have to consider is that hermit crabs do not invent their own shells, right? They utilize the shells and the things that are already around them, okay? And they look for the things that are perfect fit so they can grow into that new environment again. That's how I see myself as being an entrepreneur. Okay? It's being able to expand our inner cognitive process and accepting the fact that, I hang around with people who are going to support me, who are going to encourage me, who are going to give me a little reminders of support and letting me remember, hey, there's a different opportunity if you turn your head a little bit this way or that way, so that I can accept it with my whole heart, right? And another thing is that I don't have to reinvent the new wheel. All I have to do is look at my environment, ask questions, look for the things that people have already discovered. I don't have to look for new shells. All I have to do is look for my perfect fit, right? But that's how I can share about being an entrepreneur versus a self-employed person has to create the new shell, has to, understand the whole concept of maybe a chemical balance of creating a shell or something, it takes a lot of work and a lot of years to develop that process, right? So that was my 2 cents.
No, it was good because, like you said, it's about being uncomfortable, coming out of your shell, and then just expanding. And the process, you go into it kind of knowing that it might kind of suck a little bit, but I know that at least here, it didn't suck. Wasn't a sucky experience. Like, it wasn't painful going into it. It was actually exciting. I remember the day that I made the decision to start looking online and looking for systems and resources to help me free up my time and also put systems in place. And I won't forget it. I mean, I actually went up and met my mentor, well, one of my business partners, Peter. I went and met him, and I had a long talk about, like, I was like, dude, basically, I went up to his office, and it wasn't really an office. It was basically a kind of a room that he was renting from his buddy George, who was like selling satellites. Like, it was like a satellite repair company space that they were. I don't know. It was like a DirecTV installer that they were renting space and stuff. Either way, I didn't know it at the time. That's just how I met him, because I saw that he was making money online. He had posted up a couple of pictures on Facebook, and he was a friend of a friend, and I met him. And I was like, "Oh, wait, you're right up the road," And so I hit it off with the guy. And basically, I just wanted to know what was behind it. What was his vision? Why was he doing it? What he was doing? Where had he been at before? How much money had he made in the past? And I asked the right questions. I said, how much money have you made in the past? And he was upfront and honest with me. He's like, look, this is where I came from. I've put, I used to sell a lot of high-ticket training courses and stuff. I've made a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money in real estate. I've done okay, but I'm still learning and growing as well. And he's like, actually, I'm pretty much in the same boat that you're in. He looked right at me and was like, and then we ran some math together, because he knew. I told him, like, well, what's the math behind this? Because that's what I was interested in. So we went through all this process of everything, and then I made an educated decision based on what I saw. And I knew that it was a good fit for me, because I asked, well, what kind of training is in it? What's backing it up so that I know that I'm going to be successful? And he said right from the beginning, I won't forget it too, he said that we will continue to put in more development as we go along too, and as this space changes, so that you're never really lost in that space. And he was true. The company that we locked arms around with as well to get the education we needed, they're constantly developing and pushing the envelope with everything. Mm-hmm. I know that with one of our actual new marketing funnels that we have out right now, it's actually innovative. It's actually industry change innovation that's come out of this.
Mm-hmm. When you hit that button below, you will see it straight away.
Actually, you will. Yeah, actually, if you do go hit the button below, there's actually a whole level up process you can actually go through. Mm-hmm. It's actually pretty much the best marketing funnel that I believe that every marketer should go through. If you're into marketing, or you're into copyright or anything like that too, it's actually worth just going through just the actual funnel system of itself. It's actually worth just going through it. It's actually something that's, when you see it and you go through it, it's educational based, but it really takes you on a journey through education. When we talk to Mars, the CMO, when you talk to Mars, the CMO, I take it back. When you talk to Mars, he pretty much said that as well, that he firmly believes that it's really one of the best things out there, that when you go through the whole process and you actually look at it for what it is, you're pretty much blown away. There's nothing like it that exists on the marketplace. There's some technology that's behind it as well that no one else has. Mm-hmm. And just that in and of itself. Now, this is all technology too that you get to use as well. So if you click the button below, actually, when you click the button below and you actually go through the funnel and you actually put yourself in there and you get yourself educated a little bit, because it's all free. All the education you go through, it's all free. The whole process is pretty much free. So
the first video.
Yeah, but like what you get in there as far as that, it's something where you going through that process is, I recommend anybody to go through it. I really do, because you open up it's like playing with, if you're a golfer and you're an amateur golfer, it's like playing with Jack Nicholson. It's like playing with a pro. You get to go out on the green and you get to see how the pros are doing it, and that's what it was for me.
Mm-hmm. And the key is you have to actually get inside and make a decision so you can actually see that. I mean, we can talk about it all day long, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that think that they need to know every single detail about something before they get started, and you actually don't. And the best way to understand exactly what we're talking about is to hit that button below if you haven't done so already and get in and check it out for yourself. We can't explain it to you, in every single detail, and you will have your own personal experience with it as well. And I mean, I describe it as a masterpiece. It really is, and because it gives so much value to the marketplace, and there's so much education inside. And as you mentioned, once you get in, you have the power to use that particular funnel as well, so that you can, help people transform their lives as well. So, yeah. Okay, so thoughts here.
I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh, okay. No.
Let's go across and we'll see who has any final thoughts here before we close out. Chris, do you have any?
I'm gonna do that every time though. Just look at it.
I got somebody who wants to say hi.
Oh, hello.
Been trying to get in the video.
Cute. We should hold both their cats up so they can see each other.
They won't do anything.
I don't know if they can see the screens or not. I think they can.
I don't know. I'm surprised she got up because we got a wood stove fire going in the other room, and she doesn't leave.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's like you're bringing out energy here, and she can feel that, so she's coming in to check it out.
Yeah. What's going on in there?
I swear that's why our cat comes
she
around.
only comes out whenever it's like she can sense the vibe and the energy in the room.
Yeah, they want to check it out.
Then she's awake. Yeah, then she's like, oh, something's going on.
And then she's asleep for like the extra 20 hours of the day. So.
Oh, she wanted food. That's why she was over here. What can I say? Yeah, so myself, I was looking for something to replace my income and still be able to work my job at the same time, not just go cold turkey. And that way, you're minimizing your risk, and as you're learning and your income increases, you're not dependent solely on the income from this business. And as your business builds, then you got options. You got lots of options at that point. So this is something where you can, again, we had an income disclaimer earlier, but basically you can replace any type of income, including a doctor's income. We all have friends here that Dr. Steve, who's a doctor, who's he realizes this is something you can replace even a doctor's income with. And we have friends that, like I said, the founder of our company is looking to create 100 millionaires. And we truly, I think all of us believe that we can all be a millionaire in this business. So that's why this is something you definitely need to check out. Click that button below. If nothing else, just watch the video, and it's going to open your eyes to the possibilities that there are out there.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about taking action. All right, Sheena. Oh,
I'm here.
You look like you were falling asleep.
No, I'm awake. It's probably just because I'm Asian and my eyes look small. And I'm just kidding.
Try to make another sale.
But one last thing I wanted to point out. A lot of the difference between entrepreneurs and self-employment. Like I said, self-employment. They always think about, well, how much money can I make? Right? It's always me. And entrepreneurs, how can I serve people? When it's all about me, right? You can't serve people because me is, when you think about it, it's all about money and ego. And when you have that in your way, you're gonna get stuck. Yeah, sometimes you might make the money, but you might not be happy, right? You could be a billionaire and still not be happy. But if you can give to the world, if you can learn how to serve others, that's when you're gonna feel, that's when you can have true wealth, right? Entrepreneurs have true wealth. It's not always about the money, right? I know money can do a lot of things, but like I said, you can be a millionaire and still be unhappy, right? Still have no friends, still be unhealthy, still be unhappy and angry and miserable, right? So, you want to be with a group of people who can help you gain true wealth, right? In not just in your business, but in your life, in your health, spiritually, emotionally, and that's why we're here because we want to help you get that, right? To achieve true wealth. And it all starts with watching the video, by clicking that button below, because I believe that video is really amazing, right? It's not like something hypey or anything. It's just real people with real results, right? We didn't hire any actors. We didn't hire any super celebrities. It's just real people from different parts of the world, just being able to live a life that they choose. We have a couple who used to live in a bar of a basement, and now they get to live, the dream house that they've always wanted to. We have a mom who's from Australia who was in credit card debt, but now is, decided to move to Bali because of this amazing thing that we have, right? And if it's possible for them, it's possible for you. I always say that, right? What makes you different from them is that they decided to click that button. That was it. They decided to click the button and just get started. They didn't know how it's going to happen. They made a lot of mistakes in the way, but they knew where they were going. So just get started with us. It's it's easy. It's just click that button, start filling up the form, and start watching the videos, because once you see them, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I waited this long to watch it. So that's about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
All about taking action.
All about taking action.
And Stephanie, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Being an entrepreneur is you have a choice to raise your standards. Raise your standards for being a full-time turn-on parent who doesn't have to who has an ability to give wholehearted. Who can be there to create memories and be with your kids and create your business online. You got better options. And having choices in raising standards means that you get to pick and choose what type of person you would like to work with. Okay? So click the button below and join us. Let's do this together.
Yeah, I know that, like you said, is you get to choose everything, and that's it. Really, you do get to choose, and that's critical. I know that for 2015, at least for myself, 2015 is going to be pretty much a year about being plugged in and about being present, being in the moment with life that's going on all around me, and really truly being there with everything. Like you said, you get to choose as far as being a plugged-in parent. Not a parent that's so burnt out that they don't know what's going on with their children, even though they're right there in front of you, getting bigger and bigger every day, having all those awesome, amazing experiences that we often overlook. And, like I said, 2015 is a year that I'm going to be plugged in. And also, Sheena brought up a very important thing when she was talking. She said, there is a lot of hype out there, and there's also there's truth out there too. So, it's up to you to really make an educated decision as far as what's truth out there and what's hype. Well, sometimes it's really hard to separate the two, and by clicking the button below, you'll actually get taken on a journey to break down the truth or the hype and what separates it out there. What's real, what's phony, what's been going on, what's going on in the future, what's coming down the pipeline, and really how you can be a part of it, and there's this underlying kind of vibe going on right now, at least here in the U.S. And, as I've been traveling around and everything and just been talking to people, I've also been listening, and there's a lot of uncertainty with people in their current jobs. There's a lot of uncertainty with their economy, or the economy that's going around, their local economy, the faith in the government, a lot of just really just, it's almost like there's a lot of tension right there under the surface. And it ties right in there because even now we don't even know our own government that we put in place that's going to be there for us. And it's up to us as entrepreneurs and as just people, with family members and people that love us, that it's our duty to just do good and be the best that we can be for them. So click the button below, find out for yourself the difference between the hype that's out there, the truth that's out there, what sets us apart, but also what sets you apart and how you fit into this as well. So click the button below, get educated, get plugged in, and I look forward to talking to every one of you guys as well. Get back to anybody that brought you to this page as well too for more information. We're always just a click away. But start by clicking the button below. Just get in. Just get yourself going. Just start watching a couple videos as well, because there's so much more that's in there than what any of us can really go into right now. You've got to just take a chance and believe in yourself, because we believe in you as well.
All right, we'll see you same time, same place next week. Thanks everyone for stopping by, and we'll be bringing you some more value next week. So until then.